My earliest memory is...
I don't know. It's hard to remember all the things.
At school when you were picking on me.
Landing on the back of the skateboard, I flew up here.
They pick on me all the time.
I got my elbow in two places.
Playing at the table.
He was a nice dog.
They opened for him as well, but
I remember when I was 7 years old and I was beck jumping. And I jumped off a bridge and I slipped on the bridge because my mate had pissed on the wall and I slipped and I snapped my arm in about 6 different places and I was in hospital for about 2 weeks. And I had a big pot on my arm for about 3-4 months and I broke it again while I was driving on my bike.
Oh no. The things that I liked about my childhood that we don't get today is when you used to play out. You used to play out on the streets and everybody used to play out. You used to play skipping. We used to play British Bulldogs. We didn't sit in computers and things. We just went out and played. And when it snowed, we went sledging. We played snowballs, things like that. That's kind of things with childhood that I remember that you don't seem to get these days.
we just had such an abnormal childhood. It was so much fun. Once we played this game, we were all dogs. Our older cousins, who were much taller, they were the dog capturers, and we were all dogs. Basically, it was Tig, but on all fours. It was really, really cool, you know.
I remember that too.
You're lying, you.
I do.
I
too. My cousin pushed me off the steps, made me go to the hospital because I bust up my head. It was just not right.
Look at the camera in your big head.
See that? So that's my earliest memory.
I was fighting with my elder brother, one of my older brothers. It's a bit ruthless, but he attacked me with a knife. So that's stuck in my memory for a long time.
I remember climbing trees looking for mangoes. Is that all right? That's it. That's all right.
I think I can remember going horse riding. I used to go horse riding every Saturday morning. My mum used to take me. And it's sort of quite a really good time. I used to really like sort of horse riding and things like that, really. I think the main thing that I remember when I was young was just spending time with my parents and that sort of time when you didn't have any worries or anything, it was just, it was a really good time, you had your parents around you and your family and...
My dad throwing a fork at my mum throwing a fork at my dad, and that's about it really.
All the memory I have is my dad walking out with me when I was 6, that's all I can remember. Yeah. I'd never even known they'd gone, they just didn't bother coming back. And apart from that, my dog dying, finding it dead in the back garden. That's the only thing I can remember about my childhood. Yeah. Quite traumatic.
We did run over the cat one day. Unfortunately, we were on our way to the cinema. That wasn't a great event. I initially thought it was a tennis ball that we'd run over or a football, but no.
Well, I remember how it's not Christmas because I was growing up in Russia. My parents used to say to me that all the presents were brought up by a little fox on the night before New Year. So every night I would go, well, not every night, but every year on that night I would go to bed thinking, oh God, that fox is going to come in and I will be sleeping. And once I stayed up, and I made myself not to sleep. So I woke up in the middle of the night and walked into the front room where my parents were stuck in all the presents under the tree. And I was so disappointed, and that's how I knew.
Didn't you have Father Christmas then? You had the fox.
We have Father Frost and his helper, Snegurочка, who is a snow girl. But my presents were delivered by a little fox.
That's so cute.
My earliest memory is having a big plastic turtle, a ride-on turtle toy. That's my earliest memory.
Is that like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
No, I'd have been about 3, I think.
Right.
It was one of the horrible sit-on things. I remember it was red and green. It wasn't very nice. But I remember I did quite like the turtle, and I once lost it down the street, and I do remember crying a lot about it.
Did you get it back?
Yes, my mum went and got it.
The thing that's popped into my head is that the reason I'm quite afraid of fire is one bonfire night. There was a house on the terrace next to us that caught fire, and I remember hearing one of the neighbours say that it was the wind caught up, it would spread onto our terrace. And I remember this gets quite scary at the time, and I think ever since then, whenever I smell something burning, I associate it with that memory, that sort of being 5 years old, a bonfire night just approaching. And to this day, I don't like bonfire night as a result of that.
Bad memory, right?
Alright.
One time when I was like this big,
yeah,
right? Started. Hi, I'm on TV. Right. Me and my brother went downstairs. I was about 5, maybe 6, playing with a box of matches. Lit the match, dropped it, house went up in flames. That's the only memory I have. It was a traumatic time.
When I was 5 and I went to Pakistan and I got kidnapped for 2 days by some who was my cousin, but I didn't know, and I was crying and bawling, and then he told me he's my cousin, and then he rang my dad, and that's about it. That was a very traumatising time for me. Absolutely hated it.
Mostly I used to just go off on bus rides for like hours on end and go to airports and sit and look in airports. Because I always used to dream about getting on a plane, but we could never afford to go. So my whole thing was just to look in airports. There you go. And so I spent a large portion of my childhood being searched by the police looking in airports. There you go.
Older brother who actually got on the front page of the Daily Mirror in about 1954 when he got stuck in a dustbin and had to be cut out by the local fire brigade. Well, he got stuck in. What he did was they were playing. He was playing it with his pals, and he obviously went down in the dustbin like this, and his back and his knees. He just got completely jammed in the bottom of it, and literally couldn't get out.
They were like metal dustbins at that time, weren't they?
It would be a metal dustbin, yes. So there we are. So that was a bit of fun for us.
Yeah. I've got a story when I got stuck in the bathroom for about 3 hours. Well, I fell asleep really. I was on the toilet, then I got off, and then I just sat down because we had a new carpet fitted, and it was really nice like this. So I lied down and then slept for about 3 hours in the bathroom. I think it was the best night I've had in my life.
Oh, cool. How old were you then?
About 9.
Good.
9, yeah. I had to get rescued through the window because my dad climbed the pipe, and then came in through the window and then sort of rescued me.
First memory I've got is probably waking up in a van going to Legoland or somewhere stupid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When was that? How old were you then?
Oh, probably about 7 or 8.
I remember when I was about 3, I used to run across the road in my pyjamas to stay with the little old lady across the road while my mum took my brother to school.
I can remember a jigsaw. I used to do a jigsaw, and it was a gypsy caravan with a gypsy, and she was dancing, and that's the one thing I remember from when I was little. I mean, this little jigsaw, yeah.
Did you complete it?
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
I used to live on a small holding, and we used to have a donkey, and one day, it's not that funny really, the donkey fell down this big hill and we had to get the fire brigade to rescue it, and I've got pictures when I was about her age, about 11, they hauled it up on a winch, a little donkey, you know, an unusual thing really.
Moving house.
When was that?
I was about 2.5, maybe.
That's
3.
really young, yeah, that's good.
And my mum bathed me in the sink on the day we moved. Remember that?
How do you remember that? Is it just really cold, or is it just really weird?
No, there's just lots of people.
Or watching you in a bath in the sink.
Yeah, I'm glad to say I think that might have been the first time that had ever happened, and the last. So.
No, I just remember my first day at school when I wore a duffel coat which looked like Paddington Bear, that's about it. It was in the fashion in those days.
Childhood memory for first day at nursery.
Yeah.
And Ian uncle dropped me off. And then I cried and cried and cried till they picked me up. I always remember that first day at nursery, that's all I remember. Don't remember anything else.
I remember the first time I felt embarrassed was when, you know, the song You Spin Me Right Round. I remember singing it in the playground, and the teacher asked me if I wanted to perform it in front of the class. And stupidly I said yes, and I went in with my skipping rope, sang, and I started singing the first line, and then realised that I was embarrassed. And I had the whole class attention at that stage, and I was swinging it around my head and all that, and suddenly thinking, I don't want to be here. That was the first time I ever felt embarrassed. I remember that.
Oh, wow. Smacking teachers.
Yeah.
That was like when I was 13.
Don't say you can't remember anything before. You can remember smoking earlier than that.
Yeah, I said smoking earlier than that. When I was 10, I started smoking.
Anything before that?
Nothing before that, no.
Well, you remember going into the arcades and stuff, and you hear all the jingles from the slot machines and stuff like that. You always remember it.
When I was 6, my father took us all out and took us to this field, and he filmed us sliding downhill on sacks and bags and that. In summer. That's
that
it.
Sounds good. Was it good fun when you were doing
Yeah,
that?
it were all right. It were cool.
Yeah.
One of the things I still keep remembering.
Yeah.
When you grow up, you don't forget them.
Yeah.
They're always there with your memories.
My son, my daughter, my little daughter, something like this.
No.
I would love to go back.